grade 11 students, welcome to our Practical Research 1 or Qualitative Research class. Our lesson today is differentiating quantitative research from qualitative research. Are you ready? Here are the objectives. Knowledge. Explain or compare and contrast quantitative and qualitative researches. Skill. Create a table showing the similarities and differences of quantitative and qualitative research. Attitude. Appreciate the beauty of both researches as ways to sharpen analytical skills. Valuing. Display open-mindedness in embracing the characteristics of the two types of research. This lesson presents primarily the comparison between quantitative and qualitative research. As qualitative and quantitative studies collect different data, their data collection methods differ considerably. Quantitative studies rely on numerical or measurable data. In contrast, qualitative studies rely on personal accounts or documents that illustrate in detail how people think or respond within society. Qualitative research. Qualitative research methods include gathering and interpreting non-numerical data. The following are some sources of qualitative data: interviews, focus groups, documents, personal accounts or papers, cultural records, and observation. In the course of a qualitative study, the researcher may conduct interviews or focus groups to collect data that is not available in existing documents or records to allow freedom for varied or unexpected answers. Interviews and focus groups may be unstructured or semi-structured. An unstructured or semi-structured format allows the researcher to pose open-ended questions and follow where the responses lead. The responses provide a comprehensive perspective on each individual's experiences, which are then compared with those of other participants in the study. Quantitative research. Quantitative studies, in contrast, require different collection of data. Quantitative research. Quantitative studies, in contrast, require different data collection methods. These methods include compiling numerical data to test causal relationships among variables. Some forms of data collection for this type of study include experiments, questionnaires, surveys, database reports. The above collection methods yield data that lends itself to numerical analysis. Questionnaires in this case have a multiple choice format to generate countable answers like yes or no, which can then be turned into quantifiable data. Qualitative versus quantitative outcomes. One of the factors distinguishing qualitative from quantitative studies is the nature of the intended outcome. Qualitative researchers seek to learn from details of the testimonies of those they are studying, also called their informants. Over the course of a study, conclusions are drawn by compiling, comparing, and evaluating the informant's feedback and input. Qualitative research is often focused on answering the why behind a phenomenon, correlation, or behavior. In contrast, quantitative data are analyzed numerically to develop a statistical picture of a trend or connection. Such statistical results may shed light on cause and effect relationships. They may either confirm or disprove the study's original hypothesis. Whether positive or negative, the outcome can spark awareness and action. Quantitative research is often focused on answering the questions of what or how in regards to a phenomenon, correlation, or behavior. Benefits and limitations. Each form of research has benefits and shortcomings. Researchers must consider their hypothesis and what forms of data collection and analysis are likely to produce the most relevant findings. Qualitative studies, pros and cons. The qualitative method allows for creativity, varied interpretations and flexibility. The scope of the research project can change as more information is gathered. However, qualitative studies are more subjective in their results and interpretation than are quantitative studies. However, qualitative studies are more subjective in their results and interpretation than are quantitative studies. The expertise and perspective of the researcher may strongly influence the interpretation of results and the conclusions reached, as personal bias can be hard to manage. In addition, qualitative studies often test a smaller sample size because of the cost and efforts associated with qualitative data collection methods. Quantitative studies pros and cons. Quantitative studies produce objective data, free from the subjectivity of a qualitative study. Results can be clearly communicated through statistics and numbers. Quantitative studies can be quickly produced with the benefit of data computing software. Yet, while the objectivity is a benefit of the quantitative method, it can be viewed as a more restrictive form of study. Participants cannot tailor their responses or add context. Further, statistical analysis requires a large data sample which calls for a large pool of participants.